Dear Matsons, my son is a perfectionist. He gets worked up if he can't do something well right away, gets an answer wrong, or doesn't finish easily and first. I know God made him competitive for a reason, and I don't want to crush his spirit, but how do I help him overcome his frustrations and show him that he doesn't have to be perfect all the time? Sincerely, parenting a perfectionist.
Such a great question. And I would just say that as mom, you're cueing into his design. A lot of kids have a certain, not a lot of, all kids have a specific wiring that God has given them. And we all have something that we're working on. And we really have to work on it probably the rest of our life. And so as much as you can help your child understand their makeup and the good and the not so good about that, it takes away the shame and it sets them up for success for the long haul. So a couple things we're going to address. One is language to use with him, and then also how to help him when he is frustrated. It sounds like a pretty intense child in terms of the makeup. He likes detail. He wants to make sure things are done well, maybe thinking through, what would happen if I didn't do it well, some consequences. So his little makeup, there's some beautiful things about that personality trait.
Yeah, and outlets actually for physical outlets. If the expressions are really frustrated, and he goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, in terms of emotion, when he doesn't finish first and can't get it, has a blocked goal. Sometimes kids, those types of kids that are wired this way, could use physical outlets. So it's like, Legos that he can build and break down, or a tower that he can break down. And by the way, when they become an adult, they may need those physical outlets as well. Like I got a punching bag in my shop, and I just love to go down there and just take some stuff out in a healthy way, right? Helping your kids to have healthy coping strategies early is going to help set them up for success later, right? Because they're likely going to still be challenged when block goals show up in their adulthood, or they can't be first in certain things, or they're being ultra competitive. So those are some outlets.
Yeah, so the language you're using with this particular wiring is a lot around how God uses our weaknesses. So using language like 1 Corinthians 12 that says that God's power is made perfect, and your son really likes that word, perfect in our weakness. Doesn't like that word, right? The reality is that we cannot be perfect like God, but God shows up. And when we make mistakes, when we can't do it exactly the way we want it, we get to watch and see, what does God do with that? And so he has an opportunity to watch throughout his childhood. When he makes a mistake or messes up, how did God use that? So a lot of times your conversation is going to be after the fact. So if you're helping him with the regulation of the frustration, and then you're having the looking back and going, where did God show up there when you couldn't fully give your 100%?
And I also just think it's so important to just normalize mistakes. My gosh, there's research abounds with regards to in the leadership world about how mistakes are essential for growth. And absolutely, some of his heroes, by the way, I don't know if he's into sports or what he might be into, but whatever he's into, there's an expert at something ahead of him, right? And who's older that he might aspire to and look up to. Guaranteed that person has made more mistakes in their field than they've had successes, and they've used all of those mistakes to improve and grow and refine. That's why they're celebrity, incredible, the greatest of all time. I mean, think about in basketball, Michael Jordan. Surely he missed more shots, quantitatively true, than he ever made, and that he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, so using real life examples that your son would look up to is a fantastic idea. And again, this is your assignment for this little person who is needing to continue to grow and to recognize that he's made for excellence. He's made to want to do things really well, and the tension of that comes with extra pressure. And so when you feel frustrated, how to let the valve pressure release happen. Physical activity is important, even emotional outlets, being able to verbally get some frustration out and not getting in trouble for that, hopefully not on siblings, but giving some sort of outlets, knowing that that's a part of his little makeup. And I would just say that overall, as you continue to have the dialogues, being patient, having the language that you don't have to be first, and in fact, in God's kingdom, the first are last and the last are first. God flips it upside down.
Oh, goody.
And that, I know. So there's this kingdom mindset that's very different than a worldly competitiveness. And it's an idea that sometimes the gentleman or the most humble in the room is able to let someone else be first, even if you knew you could be first. So you're having these conversations behind the scenes with your son, helping him grow and recognizing that you see his excellence, God sees his excellence, and yet he doesn't have to put all that pressure on himself. So I just want to remind you, if these episodes are helping you, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss one. And we just want to remind you that you are the right parent for the job, and we're here cheering you on.